The port of Hamburg, Germany's gateway to the world and the third largest port in Europe. This area, which looks like building land, is actually a toxic waste site. Beneath the surface lies Hamburg's legacy of industrial pollution. Before this land can be developed, toxins that have long been banned in Germany must be removed from the soil. It's a job for experts. The cleanup is expensive and some toxins are hard to identify. But all the toxins found here pose serious health threats.
The whole product range of toxins is buried here with the industry we have in Hamburg. There are PACs, polycyclic aromatic carbohydrates, tar oils, benzols, glues, all sorts of stuff. It all has to be removed from the soil before the land can be used again.
The removal of these toxins will cost taxpayers 500 million euros. But just on the other side of this fence, toxins that are just as dangerous are entering the port every day. They're hidden in containers. The toxins are invisible. There's no telling which container or which shipment is contaminated. But textiles from Asia are among the goods most commonly affected. Every day, large quantities of them arrive in Hamburg. To find out how these toxins affect people, we meet Julia Neumann. The 24-year-old used to work for the clothing retailer H&M. She was in contact with clothing shipments from Asia on a daily basis, unpacking them and putting them on display. At first, she started to get tired very quickly. Then her eyes and her stomach hurt, and in the end she became ill with nephritis. She rarely goes back to her old employer. The memory is still too painful.
I'm reminded of the last time I was here and what it was like then. I was in a bad state. It makes me wonder what could have happened if I had stayed there. If I hadn't been diagnosed, I wonder how sick I would be then and how I would still be harming myself.
Julia Neumann was lucky. She happened to watch a report on television which made her aware of the problems of toxins in clothing.
The test they carried out on a pair of jeans from H&M showed that they were contaminated with industrial chemicals, and that made me think that my sickness might have something to do with the clothes.
The program makers tested various jeans for toxins, and the ones from H&M immediately stood out.
We noticed that the brand Jeans Royale had an unpleasant smell. When we examined it, we found chlorbenzol, dichloranilin, and trichloranilin in small quantities. These substances are hazardous to human health, and that's why we were concerned.
H&M stopped selling the jeans, but Julia Neumann wondered whether these chemicals had affected her health. In Germany, there is a recommendation which says that these toxins should not be used in production. After testing her blood, Neumann's doctor recommends that she should avoid contact with the chemicals, which means quitting her job. Her doctor comes to this conclusion after carrying out a lymphocyte transformation test.
The lymphocyte transformation test showed that live cells of yours came into contact with the chemicals dichloranilin, trichloranilin, and chlorbenzol. It showed that the aniline lead to strong reactions. We have a stimulation index to measure this. Anything up to 3 is considered a normal reaction, but in your case we reached a 10. And if you look at this reaction, then you can only say that you must no longer come into contact with these substances, as you were while you were unpacking new textiles.
Is Julia Neumann an unfortunate but isolated case?
No, Julia Neumann is not an isolated case. The number of patients that suffer as a result of exposure to these chemicals is on the increase worldwide.
But how are people like Julia Neumann to know which clothes contain the toxins and which